Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how to use the perspective match tool within 3DSMax. So the perspective match tool, it comes in handy either when you're trying to learn architectural visualizations. For example, this photo here and this visualization I put together here. This was the scene was put together using perspective match, and then a more recent scene I've been working on currently of an exterior shot where I've taken this photo here and I've been slowly matching it. It's a great tool to get used to how scenes in real life can look and trying to mimic them. Alright, so to start, just drag your photo into one of your viewports. Make sure you're dragging it in with this top option ticked, not the bottom. So now you can see it's just covered up this entire viewport. If you tick the bottom option, it's not the biggest issue, but it will cause lighting and other things in your scene that might become a problem later. So it's better just to use that top option. So once it's actually in the scene, if you press Shift F, it'll fix up the resolution, and you can just change that resolution based on the format of the photo that you've dragged in. And so you can get the details about the resolution of that from here. If you just right click on that photo, you'll be able to see, where is it? Details, here you go. So you want the dimensions shown here. And we're just going to retype those dimensions into the scene manager. So if you just press F10 and scroll down, change it to custom, and just input the dimensions here. Let me just quickly double check. Yep. Perfect. Alright, so now that's quite accurate. So yeah, again, just Shift F to swap in between. So you can see this is one of my initial scenes that was put together with this method, just initially blocking everything out and trying to get an idea of the scale. So in order to get the scale correct, it's usually just safe to assume the dimensions of an object in your scene. So if there's a door, a window, a bench, something along those lines, you can create a box that'll be roughly the right size. So for this scene, we know that the kitchen counter is going to be roughly around 900 millimeters, 90 centimeters, and roughly around 1200 millimeters in depth. Yep, so we'll just quickly input that. We'll get that roughly correct. And so this process, it's a lot of trial and error. It's not going to work out perfectly the first time. But just using your middle mouse button and left alt, you're able to kind of drag and rotate this object. So the next kind of crucial step is to click on this wrench up in the top right, and then click on the perspective match option. And we'll just go down here, click show vanishing lines, and it'll make these lines appear on the screen. And with these lines, if it's a 2-point perspective scene, which this is, you're just looking at lining these lines up with the vanishing lines of the scene itself. So again, this isn't always going to be perfect. A lot of the time, you'll have walls that are just crooked or aren't perfect, and that will mess with your scene, but I just wouldn't worry too much. As long as it's all roughly correct, it's going to be fine. So just line these blue lines up with the straight lines in the scene, and the green and the red lines with the different vanishing points in the scene. So I'm going to use this bench, or this kitchen counter here. Again, I'm sure it's not all perfectly straight, so this won't give me an exact 1-for-1, but it'll be perfect for what we're trying to achieve. And just be careful not to do what I've done here and accidentally rotate your lines around. And then this option that I just highlighted in the bottom right there, the pan and zoom option, that'll let you just use your middle mouse button to zoom into the scene, which is very handy for stuff like this when you need to get those extra details. But I'll just get this roughly correct. Yeah, get that just along there. Anything that you can use as a reference will come in handy here, it doesn't matter. Alright, so now that we've got the lines roughly in place, we're just going to try and line this. I'm going to try and line this bench up. And now we'll down the bottom, this distance option. We're going to use this distance option to try and get this as precise as possible. So let's just, yeah, about there. Again, you can see it's not quite right, but that could also just be the measurements we've used aren't exactly correct. Alright, but that's about good enough. We're now going to just go into a different view so we don't mess that up. Actually, we'll go back to that first view just so we can look at it while we change things. Alright, we're going to, now that we're here, we're going to just turn this bench into an editable poly. And we're just going to adjust it till it roughly fits in the scene. And so this is going to be somewhat of our anchor point. We'll do the floor next, once this is roughly correct. And then as soon as the floor is in, you can do the walls quite easily. And then just really go from there. It all becomes quite simple. Alright. So that's roughly correct. We'll just put the floor in now. Alright, we'll convert this to an editable poly, and we'll just try and move each of these faces till they line up with the scene we're trying to mimic. So that's about there to where the wall starts, and now we need to move this wall back. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead slightly to putting the walls in place. Alright, so now we'll just hold shift to drag these faces out, giving us some thickness for the wall. Hold shift again, we'll drag that wall up to the roof. And see, now that's shown us that the floor needs to be moved back slightly because it's not going up to the corner of the room here. So we'll just move everything back. Yeah, we'll move this back, and then you can see that's lined up with the floor and the roof and the walls just about perfectly. And then from here you'd just be adding more furniture, the windows, but otherwise the actual perspective itself has been matched.